Hello and welcome to Money Matters. Just over a month ago, the collapse of the Terra US dollar stablecoin shook the already volatile crypto world, wiping out over $17 billion in crypto value. Since then, Bitcoin has sunk as low as $25,000, its lowest since July 2021. Is the Terra Luna failure a sign of things to come? Currently hovering at about $25,000 Bitcoin is valued at less than half its all-time high of $69,000 last November 2021. The added failure of the Terra US dollar stablecoin, with Luna, the coin linked to it and needed to create UST, contributed to the crash. Wiping out roughly $17 billion in value, many investors lost big in this experiment gone wrong. Prudential Global Investment Management, or PGIM, says in their crypto report that this is proof that cryptocurrency is a poor choice for long-term investors and sees no reason it should be part of institutional portfolios. But some crypto watchers think the failure was actually a net positive for the market.
Regulators around the world right now are looking at stablecoin and how to give a better governance framework and regulation around it. And then that's also what investors want. They want to invest in stablecoin, but understand very much what's backing this asset and how it's regulated and governed.
Max Song of Decarbon agrees, saying UST focused more on making profits from the stablecoin rather than using it. Owners could earn up to 20% by holding it.
Had there been more economy on UST, then this wouldn't have been the only thing that kept people's interest in UST. So I think further stablecoin projects should have learned from this actually to focus on getting additional adoption beyond just your own self-circulatory system.
Both Max and JD of OSL, Hong Kong's only regulated cryptocurrency exchange, agree that the Terra Luna failure is a one-off. And while the market is down, there is long-term viability for cryptocurrency. 29-year-old Alan Chizensky is one of the lucky investors who made money despite the crash.
I was able to not exactly time the market, but I picked an opportune moment to sell at our most recent all-time highs. So I actually did make a decent amount of profit on this market. That being said, now I'm kind of sitting here with cash waiting for a good buying opportunity to get back in.
Alan says he entered the market mid-2020, and having put in a total of $15,000, he took in $25,000 in profits last November, while maintaining a $20,000 stake in the market. He didn't buy Luna or UST. He stuck to the blue chips and a couple of altcoins.
The volatility, it's scary. I'd be lying to say that it's not scary. You see your money moving up and down extremely quickly. And I would probably say that investing in crypto, in my opinion, is a good idea. However, also, I would say invest like you're going to make a lot of money, but be prepared to lose what you're putting in. So you may not want to bet the entire house.
Max says the volatility of Bitcoin has actually declined over the last 10 years when there were 100% swings in single days. He says today's 30% swings are relatively mild in comparison. He does add that it's important for investors to really study the cryptos or coins they're thinking of putting money into, and not just taking advice from the person they meet at the pub.
The first thing for any investor is understand the nature of this market and understand the risk they are attached to it, right? It's a lot of education before you're actually even thinking about investing. And I think that's true for traditional finance.
Alan, who had been looking at the crypto market for some time before investing in it, says he really looked at the historical data of the coins he invested in.
I was playing a little bit safer by consolidating, into Bitcoin and Ethereum primarily, but also it's a function of the fact that what I sold at the top of the market also was heavily skewed towards altcoins. So while we were going there and things started to look like, it might be a really, really good payday coming up, I wasn't necessarily guessing that that was the top of the market. I was more just looking at historical data and saying, I can't be unhappy with this current profit gain that I have.
With a day job as a cybersecurity specialist, Alan says he's long crypto, so he's willing to weather the volatility. The underlying technology is what strengthens his belief in the asset.
I have a look at this as well from living on kind of the edge of what's coming up in the cybersecurity world and thinking to myself, this could really change the way that cyber works as well, at least the underpinning technology of blockchain. So I'm long from a financial perspective, and the technology driving it, I'm extremely long. I see that as really transformational for our society.
And it seems institutional investors are as well. OSL, which services only professional and institutional investors, recorded a 73% year-on-year increase in overall platform trading volumes from 2020 to 2021. JD admits Bitcoin is becoming more closely correlated with traditional assets, but says adding digital assets creates a better diversified portfolio.
We see no trend of people backing and losing interest in asset class. Actually, the opposite. We're seeing a lot more regulator across the world welcoming, embracing trading platform and operator to offer crypto and digital asset access in a much stronger and safer manner. And so with that, investors are actually embracing this asset class, and they feel a lot more comfortable now investing. And I think there is no trend of that changing in the foreseeable future.
He adds that the entry of traditional big-name brands into the metaverse, such as Nike, Walmart, and Disney, to name a few, is also increasing adoption of digital assets.
So you need crypto and digital assets to actually interact with the metaverse, and so that definitely create some kind of synergy between crypto and digital assets.
For both Max and JD, the current downward trend is a correction.
My view is that at the moment we are having a phase of stabilization after a large correction, and then depending how the global economy reacts to the latest decision made by the Fed and tackling inflation, we'll see how risky asset will react, and there'll be potentially I think possibly another correction in short term, and again that's going to be very much in tandem with I think the reaction of the traditional finance markets.
Alan, who invests in equities, says his portfolio has undergone a massive change in the last 10 months.
My crypto portfolio has trounced my recent stock picking portfolio because of the exponential gains. In terms of myself being an active investor, I would say that I'm probably now, 2/3 crypto, 1/3 stock.
Alan says he's planning to get back into the market within the month.
China's Geely has become the latest automaker to make a foray into the space business. It follows SpaceX, owned by Tesla. Geely conducted its first successful satellite launch in the southwestern province of Sichuan, sending 9 into orbit. The Chinese auto giant aims to build a satellite network to provide more accurate navigation for its autonomous vehicle products. Geely is China's largest private automaker and owns foreign brands including Volvo and Lotus. The space venture, called G-Space, is following in the rocket wash of SpaceX, owned by Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Tesla has more than 2,000 satellites in orbit for its Starlink network that offers commercial internet services. Starlink plans to have a first-generation network of over 4,000 satellites, while Geely expects to launch 63 of its own by 2025. Geely eventually plans to have a network of 240 in orbit.
Coming up on Money Matters, Singapore's robotic response to a shortage of workers. Stay with us. Welcome back to Money Matters. Singapore says some industries have been experiencing staff shortages due to COVID-related bottlenecks on the inflow of foreign workers. Douglas George found out the use of robots has caught on to make up the shortfall with the encouragement of the Ministry of Manpower.
From a construction site surveying robot to one that scans library bookshelves and another that rolls around and zaps mosquitoes. Many companies in Singapore have been using robots to fill up jobs amid a labor crunch in the city-state. From December 2019 to September 2021, non-resident employment declined by more than 235,000 in the country of around 5.6 million people. Singapore is highly reliant on foreign workers to staff many jobs, especially in the services, hospitality and construction industries.
I think with COVID, because of the need for social distancing and also because of the, restriction of movement to a certain extent in the initial period, actually robots did play a much bigger role across many industries. So whether it's cleaning, F&B, or even library duties, baristas, cleaning solar panels in the construction sector, and even in things like testing for COVID as well in some of the laboratories. So there has been a very widespread adoption of robots.
At a construction site on the holiday island of Sentosa, a robot dog built by Boston Dynamics picks its way through mud and gravel until it stops. It then begins running a scan to check on the progress of the construction, with the report being fed back live to construction firm Gammon's control room. The company says the robot has helped ease the industry's acute labor shortage.
There is, and especially during COVID period, we really felt that. I think things have still not got back to pre-COVID. I don't think they ever will. So actually replacing the need for manpower on site with autonomous solutions is gaining real traction in the industry.
O'Donnell says the company can now send just one employee to monitor and deploy the robot, instead of sending 2 workers previously to do the same scans manually. The construction sector employs about 300,000 foreign workers and had struggled during the pandemic as many migrant workers were unable to enter the country. Over at the National Library of Singapore, a robot rolls along scanning the shelves for misplaced books. It is one of 2 such self-reading robots that are able to scan 100,000 items, or about 30% of the library's entire collection, per day, every day. The robots generate a list with specific locations that helps to cut down time spent by the librarians to manually eyeball the shelves.
Staff need not read the call numbers one by one on the shelf, and this reduces the routine and labor-intensive aspects of this task, which is not sustainable to cope with the escalating manpower cost.
The Singapore government has been encouraging automation and robotics in the workplace as the population ages and due to tight foreign worker manpower policies. The government created a multi-agency national robotics program in 2014 that aims to develop robot makers and solutions in the country. Hotelier and estate company LHN Group manages over 40 properties. 2 cleaning robots and 1 mosquito control model roll through one of the company's properties. It has invested around $72,000 in robots and more than 50,000 in smart sensor systems and software in the past 2 years.
During the pandemic, where borders are closed, it is harder to get workers. And therefore, because we're already used to using robots, it does help us to save on manpower.
He says the robots are designed to work alongside regular workers and take up some of the more menial tasks rather than to completely replace their work. In a recent survey, the International Federation of Robotics says Singapore has one of the highest robot densities in the workplace. The tech-savvy nation has 605 robots installed per 10,000 employees in the manufacturing industry, the second highest after South Korea. Japan, Germany, and Sweden round up the top 5 in the world. This robot can serve up your favorite cup of joe. It was deployed because of the nearly universal post-COVID shortage of labor in the food and beverage industry. Keith Tan's company developed the Barista Bot.
We are solving a universal problem within F&B, not just Singapore or Japan, but around the world. And automation will come in to assist us. So, this is the biggest pain point for all F&B operators. And in fact, we are hiring engineers, software engineers, data scientists, and we're in fact hiring a much more highly paid workforce to automate this industry.
Customers can order via a kiosk or an app. Still, customers like Ashish enjoy more human interaction, sipping his robot-brewed macchiato.
We always want to have some kind of human touch for everything, and the food is a very important part too. So whenever we order food, we interact with a person.
It takes bravery to sniff out what we all normally would rather avoid.
Oh, this would smell like sewage, I'll tell you that.
The first of its kind in Australia, Logan Water's biosolids gasification plant is now operational, converting human waste into poo power.
It's quite a complex little piece of engineering.
Water is taken out of the sewage sludge that is dried out before going into a furnace, where it is burnt. The gases produced are used to power the facility. What remains is a substance called biochar.
So the idea really came from the trucking problem, that we were sending an enormous number of trucks through the community, using a lot of diesel, and it was costing us a lot of money.
Logan City Council says it will reduce carbon emissions by about 6,000 tons a year.
It's pushing us towards carbon neutrality, and it's obviously helping the world overcome its issues. If we had one of these in China, everywhere in China, the world would be a much better place.
The 28 million Australian dollar project has taken 18 months to build, with a $6 million injection from the Australian Renewable Energy Agency. The biochar will be used as a high-grade fertilizer in the agricultural sector and to make building materials. The council is working with scientists at the Queensland University of Technology in Brisbane to see what other ways this product can be used in the future. Besterfield has one rather ironic one.
One thing we're looking at is that we might be able to activate the carbon and use it as an odour control source, for instance.
We will explore every marketable opportunity to obviously get the best return.
In Egypt, they're mucking about in the dirt dealing with older, more mysterious stuff. Archaeologists working near Cairo have uncovered hundreds of ancient Egyptian coffins and bronze statues of deities. The discovery at a cemetery in Saqqara contains statues of the gods Anubis, Amun, and Isis, among others. There was a headless statue of the architect Imhotep, who built the Saqqara pyramid. Egypt's Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities says the 250 coffins, 150 bronze statues, and other objects are dated to the late period, about 500 BC. They were accompanied by a collection of bronze vessels used in rituals for the worship of the goddess Isis. The painted wood coffins were found intact in burial shafts and contained mummies, amulets, and wooden boxes. One coffin contained a well-preserved papyrus written in hieroglyphs, perhaps verses of the Book of the Dead. Mostafa Waziri, Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, says it will be deciphered in a lab at the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. The coffins will be transferred for display at the Grand Egyptian Museum under construction near the Great Pyramids of Giza and due to open later this year. Saqqara, to the south of the Giza Pyramids, has provided a steady stream of archaeological discoveries in recent years, where they've been excavating since 2018. Sometimes the old can be more immediately appreciated by the new or the current. These tens of thousands of people flocked to the Belgian town of Dendermonde to witness a historic parade that features 4 children riding a giant horse, known as the Bayard Steed. The 5-meter-tall wooden horse, man-powered by 12 men, had not been shown to the public in 12 years. 86,000 onlookers witnessed how the 1,000-kilogram statue crossed the Flemish city dancing on the rhythm of a marching band, accompanied by giant figures, acrobats, and some 2,000 actors in historical costumes. The parade's highlight is, of course, the steed.
There are 12 men who carry the horse. There are 3 teams of them, so in total 3 times 12. They change because the horse weighs, with all the ornaments, it weighs 1,000 kilograms, so that's a lot. So 12 men, and they change. And certain moments, the horse he dances on the music of the band that is with it, and some moments it also greets certain people, certain places.
The saga of the Bayard Steed traces its origins to the medieval chivalrous tale involving Frankish Emperor Charlemagne asking for a local warlord's prized warhorse in exchange for a peace deal. The ritual is only enacted once every 10 years and was supposed to take place in 2020, but was postponed twice because of the pandemic. The parade will take place again in 2030.
That's the show. Thanks for watching. Next week on Money Matters, how art collectors are going digital. See you then. Good night.